And then the last part of this is that right now we're going to be talking about the clinic and one half of the clinic, the observational side of it. So that's what we're here to talk about. The research program basically looked at the difference between all the claims and what was going on, all the claims and what was going on, all the claims and what's going on. Miracle, miracle, miracle. Where were the miracles? Better, better, better. Who's better? Health, 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 health. Why is everybody still sick? Like nothing really made sense. The height of the plant, the fatness of the plant, the color of the plant, the color of the trichomes, that had nothing to do with the end result of what cannabis is capable of. It was something that you could observe, again, like the color of a car. Very easy to do that, right? Very hard to look at a car speeding by and be like, oh, chase the one with the 389 cubic inch engine. Even then, that doesn't tell you about horsepower, but at least you're closer because you know at least it's not a million horsepower and you know that it's more than one. So the fact is that sometimes when we're looking at things, it's a little harder to see them, but they're more germane. So based on the application of cannabis with an expectation that it works, not claiming that it works, but with an expectation that it is a measurable outcome that a physician who is not pro-cannabis, hopefully even anti-cannabis, would have to recognize the change. Just like we turn the lights off right now and the lights are off. And then in order for this to be data, we'd have to turn them back on, and a physician with a professional opinion would be like, yes, the lights are on. And so this is now some sort of better data than everybody else. But the fact is that we're all probably not super surprised that a person with a professional opinion says, yes, the lights are back on, if the lights are back on. So it also makes it pretty nice to walk in to a situation and then see that the lights are back on and not be too surprised that they were able to document a significant success. So what happens is that we evaluate cannabis for what it is capable of doing. And there's some aspects to make that consistent so that we get a consistent effect, right? So if I'm constantly randomizing all the food that goes into a restaurant, then the end result is not a menu that you can count on. That's the fundamental problem in cannabis. It's the reason why so much money gets dumped into all of these businesses and they just don't work out. It's a lot of work, but it's been laid out. And so you can create curated libraries of successful profiles that perform within populations of people to some significant degree. So we'll use that kind of concept to do that. And these are just visuals, right? Right now, we're just talking about visuals here. Because of that, the way that that results is because there's this endocannabinoid system, it's very specialized. It's designed for these molecules who shake on one end and can probe on the other end into a receptor. And there's two major classifications. One's type 1, one's type 2. So they call them CB cannabinoids. So cannabinoid receptor 1 type and cannabinoid receptor 2 type, and they accept shapes. They are accepting vibrational shapes and interaction to a depth of, that's based on the size of a carbon molecule. And they exist in neural type areas of the body, and they also exist in immune type areas of the body for right now. And so ultimately, when there is help being required, the cannabinoids will basically try to appear, or they do appear, not because they don't try to, they appear asking for a particular shape. So this is a visual, just a group put together and looking at these membranes that allow cannabinoid receptors to span through them, and then cannabinoids interact with the receptors from one end, and then they transfer that signaling through the membrane or transmembrane, and then ultimately cause an action on the other side. So what's going on is that there are surfaces that have these, and they interact with cannabinoids, endocannabinoids that are produced by the body to help regulate just systems in the body. But when something goes wrong, these have been shown to appear, and that almost gives us an indicator that the endocannabinoid system is involved in the misregulation of that issue. So like, for example, if this was the military and these cells were out there trying to do battle and they were consuming food and supplies and ammunition, and when they need help, they put a radio signal up asking for that particular kind of help they need. So if it's an artillery group, their bullets look way different than a small arms group, kicking doors in a terrorist region. So they're also asking for specific help. So it's not just help. And so maybe they're hungry and they don't need any bullets because they're a sniper team and they've just been waiting for a while. Not that they would, but they could just ask for some food, right? And so if you send them bullets, you wouldn't really be helping them in that particular case. So these things are asking for help, and then the supplies are either available or they're not. And so I think that as we get older and we stress our systems out, we end up sometimes undersupplying these things, and then that system isn't regulated, and the homeostasis, or the way things should be being functioning, doesn't happen. And so there's an imbalanced energetic state, and things start going awry. What we found is by supplementing them, we're seeing that homeostasis, or that those receptors being satisfied, and the outcome being measurable by their physicians. I use this slide basically just to kind of say, hey, there is a ton of information that we really need to cover. A lot of really interesting science, how medicines work, how receptors work, how everything works. And then those ultimately result in potentiality or tools. And then we apply that to an agronomy or plant-based